Now for this session, also if you're keeping a seat for anyone, please let it go because we closed the doors. So they wouldn't even come inside. So it's better for somebody who's here and standing to sit on it as opposed to somebody who's in traffic, please. Yes. So this session, first thing, some housekeeping rules. I know we all have questions. Questions won't be taken. Questions won't be taken live. So once the session starts, we have two ladies here with pens and papers. You can write down your questions as they're coming to you and give them to either of them so that when it's time to take the questions, they will be read and your questions will be answered. So if you need a piece of paper and a pen to put your questions down, just let them know so you can write the questions, give it back to them, and they will be answered. And I dare say send those questions in early because you know how these things go, we'll be, far in and then everybody still has questions. All right? So without further ado, I'm going to invite the moderator for the panel, legendary actor, moderator of the panel, everybody's favorite, I mean, she's a good number of us' favorite actor, the one and only, Nse Ikpetim. Did I get it right? Her Excellency Mrs. Randall from King of Boys, all the way from Aja.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, stakeholders of the film industry in Nigeria. Very welcome to this session, this panel session with Amazon, an introduction. And we're truly thankful and very honored that you made out time to come up here today to have this fire chat with us. I'd like to say a special thank you to Ms. Wangi and Dako from the content acquisition team. I was told I must say thank you to you lot, and so yeah, thank you. And I'd like to call on Miss Ayana Lonian. Please give her a resounding round of applause. She's flown miles and miles, has moaned a bit, but I probably haven't rested enough, but I'll keep doing the work. So thank you so much for joining us. Is it working? Are we going to share?
It is working? Are you guys
Yes, I think it is. It is working.
All right, great. Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. It's a pleasure to be here.
You're welcome. And I'll let you on a little secret. So we decided to have, we couldn't share tea or coffee, so we had water. And then we had a chat. And I asked her, if you had a choice, a career choice, would you pick what you do now in terms of content? And she said, honestly, what I really wanted to be was Tina Turner.
That was a secret. You weren't supposed to tell everybody that. That was my secret.
Oh, but I thought we're just in here like a cult, so nobody else would say it out. You know, the doors are closed, it's just us.
That is true. When I was a child, I wanted to be Tina Turner, and I still want to be Tina Turner, so one day.
No, it's never too late. And a round of applause, that's a great dream. And she also said, if Black Panther was a woman, I'd be her. Tell us why.
Because they're both fierce, right? I mean, Tina Turner, absolutely fierce, and Black Panther, as a man or woman, fierce, is fierce, and I've always wanted to be fierce, so that is what I aspire to be. And one day I will get there.
I think you're there already. Please give her a round of applause if she doesn't believe us. I think she's there already. So I'd like to get this started. I think we're a few minutes, we've gone in a few minutes into it, and it's not exactly what we wanted, but we had a lot of people. And again, thank you for truly coming out. So first off, I'd like to ask a question which might be a bit... Are you ready?
I'm ready.
First I'll ask, how's Lagos treating you?
Oh, Lagos is wonderful. I already feel like if it's not my second home, maybe my first home away from homes. It's been a wonderful to be here.
That's interesting to hear. A lot of people come. Are we saying something wrong? Hello? Can we have one house, please? All right, then. So we'll start with asking you, I think, one question that everyone's probably thinking of is, we would like to know about the team which is supporting content acquisition and originals for Africa. Can you tell us about those?
No, I'm happy to do so. So I have the honor and the privilege of being part of a small but a growing team at Amazon Studios and Amazon Prime Video that supports our content plans and content strategy with regards to sub-Saharan Africa. That includes myself. I'm going to call out some people in the room. That includes Wengi, that includes Dio, that includes my colleague Neb Mitchell, that includes some individuals who are not here today who are back home in Los Angeles, but we have a small and a growing team of seasoned, very talented content acquisition and content development executives who are based in Los Angeles as well as London, who currently support our business in sub-Saharan Africa, and we're super excited for that team. We're excited our team will be growing in coming months, but that is representative of the team of folks we have today, and we're all very excited for the work that we're doing in the region and on behalf of our customers within the region.
Round of applause, please. Thank you. So, Prime Video has come into Africa, as it is. In 5 years, what are your ambitions for these regions?
Well, let me think. So we at Amazon and Amazon Prime Video, like our goal is to be the most loved subscription video on demand service for our customers. That is our goal. We don't always believe that we need to be the only subscription video on-demand service that our customers use, but we strive for our service to be the most loved. And that includes across content, that includes across other, I guess we'll say, product functionality, that our service may have. And so at its highest level, we really believe that in order to achieve that goal, we have to listen to our customers. We're Amazon, is one of the most customer-centric, if not the most customer-centric company on the planet. And so for us to achieve that goal of being like the most loved subscription service, for our customers across sub-Saharan Africa, whether that's Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa, Kenya, what have you, we believe that we have to listen to our customers, and if we do that, we'll be able to achieve that ultimate goal.
This would include your ambitions for Africa would be taking over and being the most loved. That's an ambition.
To be the most loved, to have Prime Video be the most loved subscription video on-demand service for our customers within the region.
Thank you very much. So might I ask, how much local versus international content would be available on Prime Video?
Well, actually, let me note, because I should have noted in our earlier response. Prime Video, we launched Prime Video in Sub-Saharan Africa in the very end of 2016. We launched our service with a strong offering, including our global sort of U.S.-centric originals. That includes things like The Boys, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, Coming to America, etc. We make available a broad mix of popular Hollywood content, etc. And so, as we have done in the past, and as we will do moving forward, it is our goal, and we will continue to offer a broad swath and broad content offering, inclusive of local content, popular local content, U.S. content in the coming months and years in the region. And I say day one because that's a term that we use within Amazon overall, this across our company, because we always like to maintain what we call a day one mentality. For us, we're always kind of in startup mode. It's always day one as opposed to some other date later in time. So with regards to our local original program, we're still in day one, and we acknowledge that, and we're excited for that. So as we have done in other parts of the world outside of subs. So the answer is yes. And I'll just reiterate sort of what I said before. Please, engage us in those conversations. We want to work with partners across the continuum, and you will see us do so, but we absolutely want to engage in those filmmakers. And again, hear ideas, right? Understand, for us, it's always about, like, what is that idea? What is that story? Why are you as a content creator passionate about telling that story? Why does that story need to be told now? Right? Help us to understand that and articulate that. And that is part of the conversation, and we look forward and want to have those conversations, but those are the types of things that we'll sort of lean into. What is that story? Why are you passionate about it? Why tell it now? And help us to understand that as a team.
Thank you very much. So, at the end of your first year, in terms of numbers, what are you looking at?
We look at its highest level, again, just sort of delighting our customers. Again, technically our first year has come and gone, technically speaking. As I mentioned before, we've launched our service in Sub-Saharan Africa in 2016, and we're super proud of our service. We're super proud of what we've achieved thus far, and we're super proud of what we will achieve in the future. So as I said, we always maintain that day one mentality. We've now lost it, even though we technically launched, and I'm from Oklahoma, so I do math slowly in my head. So I don't know how many days, I think it was 1,200 days ago or something to that effect. It's still always like day one for us, and we're just really, really excited for what the future holds and what we're going to build in concert with our content partners moving forward.
Thank you very much, Ayana. So I'd ask one last question. Oh God, we went through it, everything. I'll ask one last question. I'll ask, why now?
Mm-hmm.
Why now?
Why now?
Yes.
I would say, at its highest level for us, I don't know if it's ever been I think maybe it's always just been a question of when for us. Maybe why now? Maybe I don't want to misinterpret your question, because one could interpret it like, why at all, right? But, for us, again, we are a hyper-focused, very customer-centric company. And as we continue to build Prime Video in and around the world and enhance our service and make it, we use the word delight at Amazon, because that is literally how we think about it. We think about how can we delight our customers. You asked me earlier, like, how's my time in Lagos been? And luckily, this is my second trip to Lagos, and my colleagues have heard me tell this story, but it's true. Whenever I'm not in meetings and I'm navigating through the streets and I come to an intersection, and we just stop, I guess at an intersection or the equivalent of a red light, and I just look around the intersection and I see all sorts of people, pedestrians, and I see people in the cars, like, all next to me at a stop. And the only thing I think about, and we use the word obsess at Amazon, but it's true, that I obsess about is how can Prime Video, how can I, in my own small way, help make Prime Video the most loved subscription service to every person that I see at that intersection. The folks who are in the car, maybe next to me in a Mercedes, in a Land Rover, the individual who's just walking on the street, and that's kind of how we think and how our content team and how all of us quite honestly think about how we can make our service like most loved for our customers. So, I think I am super excited. I believe we will achieve our overall ambitions to do that, and we will. And so I think that's, how we think about the future and what we want to achieve.
Okay. Thank you very much. So I was wondering, as much as you want people to approach you and speak to you, is there a technique to getting your film picked by Amazon? Is there something that, is there something that I have to do, apart from just being a great filmmaker, someone who's passionate about my work? Is there anything I really have to do?
Well, I guess I'll answer your question kind of in two ways. Kind of a little bit goes back to kind of, thinking of original content at least, right? Because I think my answer might be different if we're just talking about licensed, sort of.
Can we speak about both then?
Okay, remind me, because I get excited, okay. I lose my thoughts.
All right.
The first aspect, I guess, I want to answer your question, maybe clarify to some extent the types of original content, or things that we are looking for, at its highest levels, like the types of original content. And I would say, like, the types of original content, I would say premium, hyper-local, and authentic stories to Africa. And I'll say that again, like premium, hyper-local, and authentic African stories. And those at its highest level are the types of original projects that we want to lean into. Right, we use the term, and apologies if I mentioned it earlier, but, you know, by Africans for Africans. Those are the types of original projects that, you know, excite us, things that are like multi-dimensional in nature and not one-dimensional in nature, things that tell nuanced stories about, you know, people, again, across the continent of Africa, whether that's Nigeria, South Africa, Kenya, Ghana, you know, Morocco, what have you. So that, you know, hyper-local and authentic, and that's kind of like, to some extent, a starting point for where or how we orient or the types of projects that we're interested in. Like projects, again, stories that may have never been told before, and it goes back earlier. Why do you as a filmmaker or a content creator or producer of content, why are you passionate about that story? What is that idea, and why does it need to be told now? So that's a little bit, you know, I think that kind of answers, that's kind of the foundation to some extent, or orientation for where the conversation begins, at least in our world. And then it comes back to how you do that. You pitch us, quite honestly. And you should feel free to pitch us. Again, we're a relatively small team, but we are a growing team. But, you know, engage in those conversations with us. You know, if you're a filmmaker working on a film, it's never too early to engage us, even if it's at the pre-script phase. Engage us, you know, help us to understand, talk us through your ideas, your concept, engage us. If you're talking about series, you know, we want to know, like, you know, what writers are attached. Again, why? Help us talk us through the orientation of the pilot episode. How does that series evolve, what have you? But I would say, you know, pitch us. And again, pitch my colleagues, pitch me. I mean, you know, we are accessible and we are available. We may be an ocean away, but we will make ourselves available and accessible to our content partners.
Thank you.
What? Oh.
So, I have a few questions here. Someone's referred to Disney. Yeah. Okay. I'll pick a question first and then I'll go through these other ones. So there's one here that says, oh, money talks. Wow. Filmmakers. Wow. What is the average amount? You know what? I
feel like I know where this is going.
You know the question, right?
Nancy, you've opened the door to it. Go ask the question.
And the door's not open yet, so I'm not going to ask that question just yet. Should I go on with it? You think the door's open enough for me to ask?
I'll let you use your discretion. Go ahead.
My discretion, I'll skip the question for now and see if I should ask a question later. That's my discretion. I apologize if that's your question, and I'll go to the second one. The Amazon Prime Uber interface and overall user experience. It's something that I'm trying to... I can't read this writing, I'm so sorry. Yes, can you help? Not out. Not now. Can I read another question, please? Do you have anything to say about... What? Can someone read this, please? Thank you, Ulala. Help me. Thank you.
Okay, so you worked at Disney for a while, and that involved you developing distribution strategies for children and young people's content. Do you have anything to say about that in connection to Nollywood? It's an untapped sector here, but is Amazon interested in African animation and television shows, and is it something you would want to invest in?
No, it's, thank you. I'll put it this way. Let me, I'll caveat, a quick comment, and then I'll address the question. So I did, before my wonderful 8 years at Amazon. I spent a wonderful 7 years at the Walt Disney Company. I technically did not work in the development of kids' content, though I was responsible in my past life for sort of distributing it on a sort of a B2B basis. So my past life at Disney was probably not as directly relevant to the question at hand. Now, but that said, in terms of, I guess at its highest level, are we interested or open to, investing in, and again, investing could be licensed content or on the other end of the continuum, local original content and all things in the middle, exploring things with regards to kids' content, family-centric content. I forget if animated content was part of the question. And the answer is yes, we're open to exploring all things. I mean, for us, it still comes down to, especially when we think, at least on the far end of the continuum, about original content, we still do look at that today as on a project-by-project basis, but it's certainly not something that we have an aversion to. And again, it comes back to what is that story? Why is that creative partner passionate about it? How do we think about it? And so it is something that we're definitely open to exploring and having those conversations.
Thank you very much, Ayana. Lala, please could you help me with the other questions? Thank you.
There's a second question here, but I think she already answered it. It says, I just don't want you to feel like we're not asking you questions. It says, can you take us through the process of connecting with Prime? She already did that. I'm just saying that. So we're moving to another question. It says you aim to be the most loved, quoting you. Does Amazon Prime have any plans to attempt to overtake your competition as the #1 streaming platform, particularly in Africa?
Well, I'll put it this way. I think, and I know I mentioned it earlier when I said, we do aspire to be the most loved subscription video on demand service for our customers. But again, it does not mean that we have to be the only subscription video on demand service for our customers, right? And at its highest level, competition is good. Competition is good for our customers. I would say it's sort of good for content creators, right? Multiple distribution outlets for your content. So competition is a good thing. But bringing it back full circle, I mean, we want to be the most loved SVOD service for our customers within the region and around the world, but that does not necessitate or does not mean we have to be the only subscription service for our customers around the world.
That was a brilliant answer, because it was a brilliant answer, I think. Please give her a round of applause.
I think just because there are two questions here around the same thing that you've touched on, so maybe you need to re-emphasize the pitching. Yes, because here it's a budding filmmaker. Most times we don't get chances to pitch. Talk us through what's our shot, how do we pitch? I know you said it already, but you might want to say it again and again to convince everyone here that what you said is what is. Then I'll read this one. The Amazon Prime Uber interface. Okay.
I couldn't see that. No, I couldn't see the question. I'm so sorry.
Well, Lala, do you mind, before I lose my thought, can I just answer one question at a time while you guys read through that? Because I think it's a great question, and I think, and it's one, and it's funny. I met, Chioma, it's funny, I was looking at the Afrif itinerary for like master classes, and I was looking at it for all the classes, and I remember thinking, gosh, I wish there was a master class on the art of the pitch. Yeah. I wish there was a master class on just the art of the pitch, because I think, for myself, the members of my team, and folks at our studio, I mean, we get pitched so often. I'm not going to say we take it for granted, but we're very used to that, and we get pitched by content partners around the world, and there is an art to it. It's an art and science, and so I think it's a really, and I think it's a great question, because I may say, of course, come pitch me, and if you get like 30 minutes with me, or Ned, or Wengi, or Dio, or somebody on our team, those 30 minutes or whatever, 45 minutes can be precious ones, but there is an art and a science to the pitch. And so I would say, to some extent, one, at least for our content team, don't necessarily think that like everything is done or broken on one single meeting, right? First and foremost, you may have multiple ideas throughout your life as a content creator, and I don't want to create an impression that this is kind of like a one and done phenomenon, but there is an art to the pitch, and I would say, practice, treat that. Take it seriously, like practice it maybe before you get on the phone with us, because it's an art and a science, and there are things again, that we will be looking for or listening for in that meeting. You know, I remember when I alluded to earlier for series, we're going to want to understand like what writer is attached, you know, let's just say if it's a series, you know, to your project. Does that writer or does that individual have prior experience having written for that medium? You know, creating content is, you know, for series and features are very, very different things. And so we'll be listening for some core things, but at the end of, at its highest level, we'll still be listening to like, okay, what is the story? Why are you passionate about that story? You know, why now? And those are sort of core to that, I guess we'll say, that process. But I do think it's a little bit of art and science, and I'm gonna twist Chioma's arm so that a free, you know, 2022 maybe a art of the pitch class is added to the master class, because I do think it's an important part of the process, but it's not, again, your career does not live or sort of die just based on a 130-minute meeting.
Please give her a round of applause. Thank you. So, do we have any more questions, or do you want us to just talk? What questions did I skip? The very first question.
Oh, I don't know if were the microphones working. I don't think the microphones were working.
The microphones.
Oh, they were? Oh, yeah.
The money question. I'm going to ask a question now. The question is, I think I can paraphrase, you just want to know how much they're willing to invest in a film or a project, yeah? That's the question. How much is Amazon willing to put into a project? That's the question, right? But wouldn't that be dependent on the project, though? I'm just wondering. What's the floor and ceiling? That's what you want to know.
There is no, I mean, just to address the question head on, there is no floor and ceiling. There really is no like floor or ceiling. I mean, different projects, different, you know, and again, in fact, you asked me about licensed content, so ask me I lost that, I want to come back to that question, but there's not a magic number. Different projects are different. Different projects, quite honestly, require different budgets, right? It just depends on the parameters, you know, of the respective project, other things that are intrinsic to that project, where it's shot, the size of the cast. I mean, they're different nuance, and every project is different. So I don't want to imply that there's like a magic number, and we don't look at, especially original content, on a formulaic basis. So there is no you know, floor, there is no hard ceiling. We will just look at things on a project-by-project basis and make our assessments on a project-by-project basis. And I've seen, you know, my colleagues know this, on average, across the continent of Africa, in a given week, I probably watch about 10 features a week. And that's just in a given week, and with my own schedule, and you know, feeding that into the weekend. And I have seen some wonderful like Nollywood features. I've seen some features where I've asked folks on my team, gosh, can I meet that filmmaker? And that filmmaker may have told me that particular movie was developed for like well under, let's just say, $50,000 US. And then I may watch another feature that is equally remarkable and different in its own right, that may have a budget of, you know, a multiple of that number. And they're both wonderful. They're both fantastic projects, and they're both movies that I want on our service. So there's no magic. There is no magic number. We just look at things on a project-by-project basis, and then make our decisions on a project-by-project, whether that's acquisition by acquisition, or, you know, original project-by-project basis.
Thank you, Ayana. So she answered the question. So we'll go back to licensing, okay. That question.
Because I think that, yeah, the question was, I think, how do we maybe engage in a licensing conversation with our team? That's maybe a little bit relatively straightforward. You know, for licensed content, if one has a catalog or even a title of content that they want to license to us, the process is you typically send us an overview. We would call it like an avails list or an inventory of those titles that are available to license. You send those again to a member of our team. We'll go through and sort of, you know, assess our interest in, you know, whatever the mix of titles are that are available to license, and then, you know, follow up and have a straightforward sort of licensing conversation. One of the other things that is unique to Amazon Prime Video is we also have an element of our service called Prime Video Direct, which is a self-publishing arm of Prime Video that allows content creators to actually self-publish content into our service. And so that is also another avenue for other sort of licensed content or finished product, et cetera. So there are multiple even sort of licensing avenues that one can pursue in addition to conversations about original content.
Thank you very much, Ian. So I think this is a very interesting question, and it says, is there going to be an ongoing collaboration between Amazon, Prime Video, and AFRIF to host development?
Did that come from, Shioma, did you ask that question?
No.
Not fair, you're not supposed to.
No, certainly not. No, she didn't. I thought the writing was quite scrawny, and I rewrote it. But no, it wasn't her.
I'm teasing. Sorry.
I just thought that it was very interesting how we're talking about pitch programs.
Yes.
And I think that, people's understanding of what a pitch actually even is going to be, it's going to vary. So as they bring that, bring that into, they may try to perfect it, but it may not even necessarily be a pitch, what they're working on. These types of development programs, whether they're for writers or producers who are pitching, are absolutely necessary. So I was wondering if there was going to be an ongoing path that we're doing here for the festival, throughout this year until we get to the next AFRIF, is there going to be any collaboration between Amazon and AFRIF to develop these, skills?
Okay. Well, thank you, Ozzy, for clarifying
Sounds
the
good.
question. Yeah, the short answer is, I think it's a great idea. It's actually one that has come up just through this conversation today, so it's one that we should continue to explore, and that definitely will explore, because I think, again, I think through AFRIF and however that comes to be, yeah, I think it'd be a great idea. And I was quite serious when I said, like, for the inventory schedule of master classes next year, I think it'd be great to have something on like just the art of the pitch, because yeah, it is art and science, and it's a skill that gets developed and honed over time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Actually, yes. All right, then. So I was wondering, does anyone else have any questions, or do you think you have all you need? I'm not going to ask you to tell me. You'll write it down.
Oh,
You need to write it down. Yeah. Thank you so much. Should I give you pen and paper? Really? I've got paper here. All right. Okay. So this person says, can we get an email to send our projects to? A contact to the team?
absolutely. I would say, I'm hesitant to give out my direct email on the microphone and over live stream over the internet, but please stop by before I leave and stop by to one of my team members. But yes, we will give you our contact information if you want to have that before we leave.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll end the session maybe 10 minutes before so people can meet up and then you can have your hour to yourself. Does that work? Yeah, that works. Yeah, 10 minutes before we're done. So it's all falls between the hour. Anyone else with any questions? Sorry? She should announce her email address. No. Thank you. Oh, I like this question. So I am going to ask. So someone here says, as we know in Nigeria that it is really tough to make a film without starring a popular face in it. Does this have any effect when trying to produce for Amazon? It's a brilliant question.
Does it have any effect?
Yes, when trying to produce or make or create content for Amazon, I think.
I see. I would say the starting point for us is always, again, and I apologize, I don't mean to be redundant, but I do want to emphasize this. The starting point for us will always be the story in the idea and other elements of sort of why we collectively feel like this story needs to be told right now. And then I think other things fall downstream from that, such as, casting, et cetera. Because it doesn't matter what talent you have attached to a project, if it's not sort of the right idea or the right idea for us, right, the right story for at least our service, then that's not going to solve, I guess, these sort of earlier issues. So I would say, of course, casting is important. Of course, the talent attached to any project is important. But that's not the starting point for the conversation for us. That's actually sort of downstream, or maybe 1 or 2 degrees removed from the initial, nexus of that conversation.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ayana. Someone here says, if a show becomes a hit after being licensed, is there a chance for it to become an original sequel or series?
I would say have a conversation and explore the possibility with us. I'm not going to say it's, there's no single one solution. Every scenario is different. And again, I think the scenario, the details behind sort of, that particular project would be important to sort of, as a decision-making factor for us. But I would say we would have the conversation.
Okay. So you are open to conversations, basically. And then there's this other question that says, is Amazon Prime Video interested in indigenous films? Annual pricing for subscribers due to... which would be language films. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, language films. Yeah. Yeah, indigenous, language films, language films. And annual pricing for subscribers due to low-income streamers. I didn't get that.
I don't know if I understood the latter half of the question, but I think the first half of it, now that I understand it, I think the question is saying, are we open to licensing or producing content that was largely produce in non-English, like a locally relevant dialect? The answer is yes, absolutely. It goes back to our desire to have our content offering delight all of our customers. I'll go back to that analogy I use, like all of the customers are standing at that intersection that we see. Our desire to have our local original content be hyper-local in nature. So I think the answer is yes to that first question. And I honestly apologize, I didn't understand the other half.
So the second part would be, what would your annual pricing for subscribers be due to low-income earners in Nigeria? I think that's what it is. Yeah.
Well, we'll continue, we want it goes, I guess, and again, everyone, I apologize. I'm really trying not to be obtuse or opaque, but it really, at its highest level, for us to delight our customers, we want to delight our customers, all of our customers within the region. We want and aspire for our service to be accessible to all of our customers within the region. And I think we'll take steps to continue to build upon our service and execute against those goals and make sure that that happens.
Okay. Thank you. Someone says here, for an emerging producer, do you expect them to work with an established producer to mentor them in producing content for you, or do you have in-house assistants to help them produce content for yourselves?
Well, it's interesting. So this is one of the things, and I'll allude to this, I think my colleague James mentioned this yesterday, or it may have been Ukoma. But one of the things, at least for Amazon Studios, like this, our established studio within our companies, we want to be like the home for talent, right? We want to be the home for talent. It's something the head of our studio, Jennifer Stalky, takes very seriously. It's one of the things that we as Amazon and all of our executives within our studio or within Prime Video take very seriously. And so there's not like a turnkey, one-size-fits-all approach to working with talent. And that includes established producers or emerging producers, right? The reality is different creative partners, different projects, et cetera, may require different levels and types of involvement and support or collaboration with regards to Amazon Studios. And so we'll look at those things on a sort of a project-by-project basis, but definitely work in concert with our creative partners to help support any sort of projects, original projects, or et cetera, that are in our pipeline, just taking advantage of the resources that our studio has. So it's not a one-size-fits-all, but we'll be collaborative in nature, and it's just part of it's part of the process that we use for being like the home for talent in terms of working with creative partners.
Okay, so every project will be tailor-made, basically. All right, then. I see 2 questions coming, or 1. This would be my last, I think. So you can have time to chat. Should we make this our last? So you can chat with her and get anything you want? 1 more? 1 more coming. All right, then. Right now, the Nigerian film industry is saturated with comedy films. Is Amazon Prime going to be open to a different genre of film, like horror, or will they also focus on slapstick comedy that Nigerian filmmakers make? Oh, shots fired.
No, I mean, I guess the short and direct answer is yes. We will look at, we are interested in exploring, again, whether that's from a license standpoint or original standpoint or all things in the middle, other types of, a broad array of genres, subgenres for Nollywood content, right? So I think, I get into this debate at different times when I'm talking to different content partners. Folks will say like, oh, Nollywood is it's all rom-coms, it's all romantic comedies, et cetera, and you have to pivot away from that. I personally think there's a place for romantic comedies, right? Customers like romantic comedies. There's a place for that, but that does not mean there's also not a place for other types, genres, subgenres, other types of content and like stories that have not really been told or delved into from a Nollywood standpoint. So those don't all have to be mutually exclusive conversations. So the short answer is absolutely with regards to horror or thrillers or crime stories or fantasy, or the earlier question about sci-fi and a family animation. Yes. We want to explore and will explore all of those other types of subgenres and genres of content, in addition to rom-coms and romantic comedies.
Okay. And can I ask a question personally? What's it like for diversity for Amazon? Diversity and culture, films that are made that are not necessarily very popular, but they just make them.
Ask me your question
Inclusive, again. Okay, diversity, inclusion. Are we open to that?
Are we open to that?
Yes.
Well, Insay, can I make sure I understand the question?
Yes,
because I do want to answer. Are you saying with regards to the types of stories that we lean into or that we showcase?
Yes, the type of stories that we showcase and tell. It's just basically the stories.
Oh, absolutely. We want to. I mean, absolutely.
All right, then. Thank you.
All right.
Do we have any more questions? Is there anything you would like to talk about? We've got 14 minutes left. I think I've covered most of the questions, and apart from your email. So here we are.
I just want to reiterate, again, we're very excited to be here. I know it's still very much day one for our team. I know our team is small, but we are growing, and we're just super, we're super excited to be here. And I get, it's my second trip to Lagos, but I get so excited in talking with, emerging filmmakers, hearing your ideas, hearing suggestions for how Amazon and Amazon Studios and Prime Video can be a good partner for, content creators within the region, types of stories you want to tell, like how we can partner together. So just know that we are very, very excited. I also want to, thank Chioma, Jenny, Fela, all the folks at Free for making this festival possible, for showcasing the work of emerging filmmakers around the world. It's super important work, and we're very excited to be here, and thank you for the time. I really appreciate it, and I'm honored for it.
So I would like to call on Chioma Ude to come and say something. Can you say from there? Do you want the microphone? That's fine. 1 second. I would
without these two people, Ayana and Ned, we probably wouldn't be here. It's very important for everyone to know how this all started. I thank them for this. I thank you very, very much. I mean, Nigeria is excited. Thank you for thinking this through and going with it.
And then you can get the email address.
I will.
She'll be here for the next 10 minutes and then 1 minute to walk down and go grab lunch.
Thank you so much and have a wonderful afternoon. Enjoy your food.
And thank you, Inse. Thank you.
It was really lovely.
You know that really going mine. You know you really going mine. You know you really going mine. So let me help you squeeze. I know you wanting me. I know you wanting me. Yeah, you want it, baby. Ooh, raspberry. Blueberry with your lemon, say raspberry, blueberry. Yeah, I said it's raspberry, blueberry with your lemon, say raspberry, blueberry. Oh, I said it's raspberry, blueberry with your lemon, say raspberry, blueberry. Yeah, I said it's raspberry, blueberry with your lemon. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ice. Ginger and vanilla. Ice. You right. Right. You taking flights. Whoa. You know it's true. Damn. You know it's mine. Alright. 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 Yeah. Finally, I'm not running back. I'm turning up and on and down, coming down. I be coming for your mind, running in. I be fighting for your time, right? I know it's fine, I know it's good, damn. I know you're mine, you know it too, fine. I might be wrong, but I don't care. I just did my own, just been on there waiting for you to come, yeah, and be under 18. Ride my wave, would you ride my bike? Cause I've been giving you my time. And I make iced tea and I make it where you love us. Yeah, flaws and all, I'll be the one you run to. And I'd be for you and no one else. Tell me what you want, I'll be going in. Finally. And I make iced tea and I make it with your lemon. Yeah, make you break when I crisp. I'ma light up this place. Let me spice up your plate. Set it up, take it, squeeze, pour it up and make it freeze. Make that tea. The vibe is made. The vibe is made. Here's my peace of mind. I'ma give you one more try. Yes, if you need a ride, then you met the leading vibe. Yeah, come and get this oil. You can pour it where you like. I'ma throw you on my back, but now I see you've just been on there waiting for you to come, yeah, and be on that dating. Ride my wave, would you ride my mind? Cause I've been giving you my time. Baby, I make iced tea and I make it with your lemons. Yeah, flaws and all, I be the one you run to. And I be for you and no one else. Tell me what you want, I be going in. Finally, and I make iced tea and I make it with your lemons. Yeah, yes. You know that really going mine. You know you really going mine. You know you really going mine. So let me help you squeeze. I know you wanting me. I know you wanting me. Yeah, you want it, baby. Ooh, raspberry, blueberry with your lemon. See, raspberry, blueberry. Yeah, and it's raspberry, blueberry with your lemon. See, raspberry, blueberry. Oh, I said it's raspberry, blueberry with your lemon. See, raspberry, blueberry. Yeah, I said it's raspberry, blueberry with your lemon. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ice,
Ginger and vanilla.
ice.
Ginger and vanilla.
You right,
Honey in the center.
right.
Honey in
You
the
taking flights.
Ginger and vanilla.
Whoa.
Ginger and
You know it's true.
can make your dinner.
Damn.
I can make
You know it's mine.
ginger and vanilla.
Oh boy.
Ginger and vanilla.
Alright,
Honey in the center.
alright.
Honey in the center. Ginger and vanilla. Ginger and vanilla. Can make your dinner. I can make your dinner.
Yeah. Finally, I'm not running back. I'm turning up and on and on, coming down. I be coming for your mind, running in. I be fighting for your time, right? I know it's fine, I know it's good. Damn.